Oh, Rosanna. All right, so good morning.
Good morning.
And we are doing your favorite thing. We're going to be going to your family.
Yeah.
You thought I was going to say record video and sound of us, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Well, we are going to do an update. So why don't we go ahead and just start off by, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest changes that have occurred since last year?
Well, my life has changed. So we're doing to turn that 50 year and turn right out to Florida.
Yeah, thanks.
I started school in October full time, and I'm doing the nursing program at WGU. Have about 2 years, and and then I also when I was talking to the gal that was signing me up, I told her that I didn't want to go into debt for my degree, but I already have a degree. So she said that they have this foundation where if I worked at KFC for 6 or more hours a week, I can get my tuition and everything else paid for. So I was like, well, I'll do that then. So I immediately went and got a job in September.
Tell them
at
about the
KFC.
sign.
So when I went up to the door, it said now hiring, and it crossed out 11 herbs and spices and said 11 Sarahs. So when I went in to ask for a job, basically, because I'd already put in an online application. At the next light, turn left. The online application didn't get any response for a week or two. So I just went in and I said, hey, I want to get a job here. And the manager, whose name was also Sarah, interviewed me on the spot and gave me the job right there and then. So I've been working in KFC since September. I enjoy it. It's fun. I work during the day when my kids are at school. So I don't have a lot of mom guilt.
And you started a job, and you're going to school.
Weddings are over, so that's nice.
Yeah, let's give them a summary of that. So in August, our number 2 daughter, Mary, we'll use anybody's name who's over 18. She married a fella named Reese, and it was amazing. It was so awesome.
It was awesome.
Best day of my life, which was strange because I love being married, but our wedding day wasn't anything compared to that. That was amazing.
Your wedding day was awful.
Yeah, it was awful. And then and maybe we'll share why later, but
Yeah.
then a week after that, our number 1 daughter, Elizabeth, married a fella named Eli.
Yeah.
And then a few months after that, our number 3 daughter, Hannah, married a fella named
Connor. And that was the week of Christmas. So it was a really crazy week.
Yeah. And we learned a lot, and it was such a blessing to have all 3 get married at the same time, from my perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And now they all live in the same apartment complex, which is awesome. So they have each other.
Yeah, 2 next door and then 1 below. So
it's pretty cool.
So we went from 10 of us to 13 of us, and it's no longer easy to do the percentages when we're missing people.
Because it's a prime number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that. Thanks. I'm so pleased that you know that it's a prime number. That helps my heart. So that was, I think.
Well, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thanks. And then Sarah and I, we've known each other now for 28 years.
28 years.
And
As of February 11th,
yep,
which I totally forgot about.
I didn't. I'm a romantic. I'm sappy that way.
You forget your own birthday, so.
Well, there's nothing romantic about my birthday. But, and then our first date was 28 years ago today, if you don't go by date because of leap years and stuff, because it was on a Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
But 28 years ago, Valentine's Day was on a Saturday. So if you go by the date, 28 years ago yesterday. If you don't go by the date, 28 years ago today, if you go by weeks. So, and what, in the 28 years, what do you think has been the best part about being married?
Wow. Best part about being married, there's a lot of really good best parts, but I think having someone I could talk about eternal marriage and all that kind of stuff, which is all a huge blessing, but just in this life.
Yeah, let's limit it to immortality. What's the best thing about being married?
I always have you, and you make me feel safe and secure and happy, and like as long as I have you, I have everything I need.
Oh, thank you. You know, for me, I think marriage, it's almost as if I was designed to be married, because it is so satisfying to have somebody to hold me accountable, to comfort me when I'm having a hard time, for me to serve. A lot of what I do because I want to make your life better, easier, funner, more enjoyable, etc. And where my natural instinct, the natural part of my being, my personality would be to become one with the couch. And so I get a lot more fulfillment because I'm doing things I normally wouldn't do.
1 mile turn left onto Summit.
We're going to give everyone instructions on how to get to our sister's house. So yeah, I think the companionship is probably one of those parts that I just love and adore as well. What about, what's been the biggest hardship for Connect and Conquer, do you think? What's been the most difficult part?
Well, I think looking at it as a whole, the biggest hardship has been consistency.
Yeah.
Looking at it from my perspective is I'm not sure where I fit. And we haven't really discussed this, but because I feel like I'm busy doing a lot of my own things,
Yeah.
so it's like not my focus.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it, but I'm also, I don't know, I just feel like I'm on the sidelines cheering everybody on that's working on stuff, and I don't really know, haven't really figured out my purpose in it besides being part of the family. And
Do you feel like you're handling the finances?
no.
Okay. Because originally when we decided to start, I was like, I don't want to start another business.
I do feel like I'm the liaison to help you do the finances.
Which I think I hear, and I can hear just fine, Daddy. I think is a fairly large blessing. Because I do not enjoy the bookkeeping aspect the accounting aspect, the tax prep aspect of running a business. I don't like it. I don't like collecting money, and I don't like having to reconcile. So when Sarah's involved,
Whoa! This is like an ice rink.
it is an ice rink.
Oh my Lanta.
And look at all those.
Oh.
It's okay, I gotcha.
Okay. Look at all those what?
The tracks that went clear over the edge and onto
my
the
goodness.
sidewalk and lawn.
This is terrible.
Yeah, it is. We'll just slow down a lot.
Okay.
Oh, the car behind us didn't make it. Must be new to,
White sands.
yeah, ice. So,
I hope they don't get too close to us. This is terrible.
yeah, it's okay though, because
You're driving.
I'm driving.
Or a ginormous beast that could kill a child.
It could if I wasn't driving so slow and under control.
Thank you.
So, we're good. Deep breaths. So, besides driving to your sister's house, what's the biggest challenge? No, so I think with the finances, it might actually be working out pretty good, because there's a lot of stuff that I've been forced to learn over the years.
Yep.
That I just know I have the curse of knowledge in my head. And then, and for you, it's like, well, we need to do this thing. And you're like, what's the step I need to do before I can do step one? You don't have that background.
Right.
But by you saying, hey, this needs to be done, and we end up doing it together.
Yeah.
And so that's a win for me, and it's a win for you because it gets done.
Yeah. I feel like it's working out great.
Okay.
I just feel a little bit of guilt because I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I volunteer. And then I went a totally different direction with my life.
Peter volunteers. Yeah. And instead you're going to school full-time, working outside the home for the first time. Have you ever worked outside the home since you've had babies?
No. I have not.
The most we've done, let's see.
He said that we could pull into the driveway if you want. Like back in.
Okay, I'll do that. The most that you've done as far as work goes has always been in the home, whether that was taking care of the elderly gentleman. We can say his name, he's dead.
Yeah.
Mike. Or teaching cello lessons.
Yeah.
You sold makeup for a while.
I did.
And we've tried some other ventures.
Yeah, I haven't worked outside of the home since I had babies.
And
I'm not gonna be able to stay in the driveway.
we're gonna park on the street since we're sliding down. It's like, remember the time we
had a paper out.
we had a paper out. That was outside the home. And
Yeah, but we took Elizabeth with us.
that's true. Oh my goodness! But so the people who don't understand why we got all excited as we started sliding down the person's driveway with while the car was in park, we had
The worst paper out on earth.
at least in the Treasure Valley. In fact, they subsidized the paper out because they couldn't keep anybody to do it, and we took it on. And
During the winter,
uh-huh.
and one side of the street was this way, and the other side of the street was this way, and we had to do doorstep deliveries.
Yep.
And there was no way of getting up to some people's houses because the roads are so icy.
And what was sometimes one time, actually it happened multiple times, but it would get rain, and this was just in the foothills of Boise Valley. So Boise Valley, it stays warm down below because you get inversions, and anyway, it doesn't matter all the science stuff, but it's really cool. You just get a little bit up, and rain that would come down would hit the ground and then freeze. And in these neighborhoods, the freezing rain would break the traction underneath the people's car, and so you'd have cars that were parked safely on the roadside or in driveways, and they would just be scattered around the neighborhood.
It was bizarre.
At the bottom of things. And so it was pretty intense, and we just experienced that pulling into their driveway. We parked, took my foot off the brake, and we just kind of started sliding down the driveway. So it is pretty icy. Now we're headed to a movie.
Do you know how to get out of here?
Nope, no clue. Actually, I think I'm just gonna
take us to the movies. What do you think you're gonna do?
I'm just gonna follow the subdivision on out. I'm not gonna turn around.
Okay.
So, let's talk about Connect and Conquer some more.
Okay.
What are some of the successes that you felt like, hey, this was good, or this is awesome, or this is wonderful?
I'm pretty excited about the app being usable, and it's getting there, and it's, that's exciting to see the progress on that. The fact that when we do release content, we get quite a few people looking at it is miraculous. You're going faster on this corner.
And just so everyone who's watching, I'm going 12 miles an hour.
It's too fast. Okay.
It's okay though. I understand you get that's an anxiety thing.
It is. And the roads look like ice.
Well,
they look like pure ice.
When you say they look like ice, they are in fact ice.
So 12 miles an hour is not is fast enough that we're gonna spin out in this vehicle. So this is a 15-passenger van.
Oh no, let that guy miss us.
Yeah. Anyway, Connect and Conquer. I'm excited to. I actually went to an event recently called Connection is the Cure, and my sister and I played our instruments for the dinner that they had that was for people that were speaking to the group that funds it. And it was an interesting experience because there was a guy there who had from Hawaii, and he had a presentation. He's actually gone back to school to become a social worker or a counselor because he wants to help people, because his son took his own life when he was 23 years old, and it affected him so badly that he ended up having to go through rehab for suicide ideation. And he went through it, and he wanted to be there until he knew for sure that he had all the tools that he needed to be okay and to be able to support his family and be there for them. And when he was going through that deep depression, he couldn't be. He could not be there for them. So he wanted to make sure that he was 100% before he stopped working the program. His story was really inspiring, and he goes around to all sorts of places telling it, just to give people hope that they can recover from these horrible situations that we find ourselves in. And it's more common than not to have a great loss in a family, especially since the pandemic. It's either loss from severe illness or loss from suicide, or whatever. It just seems like since we've experienced that loss, there's just a lot of people coming out of the woodwork that, you just don't know. You don't know until you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Connect and Conquer is so important, so that people know that there are others like them and that they can recover and that they don't have to experience the pain and anguish that they're having forever, and know that there is hope of living a good and happy life. And I am watching a family member go through that right now, where they just don't see any hope. They see nothing of hope. And it's really hard to convey to someone who's hopeless that there is hope. It's hard to do it on your own. And it takes, in my opinion, it takes an army of people who've been through similar situations, people who can say, I was there and now I'm not. Because, I can relate only so much because I haven't lost a child.
Yep.
And I can't say that, well, hey, buck up, life is going to get better, because I have no idea what that experience is like.
Yeah.
But I know there are people around the world that do, and that have recovered from that experience, and that can give hope to those that are still in process.
Yeah. One of the people that helped me back when we were going through things, and we had the notes written and the plans starting to take place, were the Hansons.
Yeah.
And and it was neat on one hand, because they were like, hey, and even if the worst of the worst happens, there's recovery, there's atonement, there's making whole again. And that, well, it's like, well, that's not reassuring. It did help. Help me get past that that overwhelming sense of dread of, well, when I realized there was absolutely nothing I could do to prevent it. We hospitalized him like 5 times in a year, and even then there were occasions where we weren't. It would have been impossible for us to be quick enough or right there, and had it not been, just by the grace of God, he would have been, his life would have been over in mortality. So realizing that, okay, well, I recognize there's nothing I can do to prevent it from 100% from happening, but then having them share that it's awful and terrible and it stays with you forever, but there is healing that does take place. That was helpful for me. I don't know if that was helpful for you.
Definitely. And I think having them as mentors through this experience was not only helpful for me, but helpful for my family, because one of the things that was really difficult was that it was the 3rd year, right? And it seems like, the 3rd year in your head should be easier than the 1st year, right?
Yeah, should be.
But when I talked to Sister Hansen about it, she said, no, the 3rd year was the hardest for us. And I was like, why? Tell me why it was the hardest, because I need to know this so that I can share it.
Yeah.
And she said that everyone has moved on. Nobody asks about it anymore. It's not even in their thoughts for most people that you are associating with, that some people that you're associating with, they don't even know that it happened. So life has moved on to the point where it's no longer about this situation. But you're still, it's 100% about the situation for you.
Yeah.
And the fact that everyone else is just living life and you're in it, you're in the yuck and the mire and the muck for that third year is just depressing, because you realize that, or you think that you're never going to move on like everyone else has.
Yeah.
And that made a lot of sense to me, because probably not as many texts saying, hey, thinking about you today, not as many words of sorrow and sorry that you're suffering, and it's more of, oh yeah, I forgot about that, sorry. And it makes sense to me why the third year would make the hardest.
Yeah.
Not sure what's different about the fourth year.
Yep, I'm with you there. The other part of that is the guilt. If you start to get over it, it almost feels like you shouldn't. And this year for us, thinking about our nephew, I'm still not over it.
Yeah, either way.
But I don't bring it up to the kids, because I didn't want to, if they had moved on and they weren't thinking about it anymore, I didn't want to be the one to pull them back down,
Right.
Yeah, and yet then they were having hard times, and we have several kids who during the month of February, while I celebrate the month of February. Sarah, what was it that you said about February, the month that we met and had our first date?
That it's the worst month of the year.
Yeah. So others in our family also were suffering, and not actually knowing why. And I remember bringing it up with one of them and saying, hey, this is not unusual for you to have this yuck feeling during this time of the year. This is the time that tragedy struck, and this is where injury occurred, and you were hurt. And by putting a name on it, I think it actually allowed them to
feel it and be okay.
Yeah. To look at it and go, okay, yes, this is what I'm feeling. This is a reasonable reason, which sometimes there aren't any reasonable reasons. It's a chemical thing, But if you can name it, man, it sure does help for you, to then slay it. And one of the things, I know Harry Potter's not meant to have a whole lot of truth in it, but there's a whole lot of truth in that. That if you're scared to use the enemy's name, it's going to be really difficult to conquer the enemy. And so, anyway.
Yeah, and I saw a quote, just to kind of end this segment. I saw a quote that said, if there was no love, there would be no grief. And that basically the reason we have grief is because we've loved. And you don't necessarily understand it fully in this life.
Thanks.
But, and it's painful and it's tragic, and nobody wants to go through it or talk about it or face it. But I really do believe that it affects our bodies, it affects our minds, it affects everything, our spirits. That it's stored. And that time of year when my mom's birthday comes around, and when the day that I super close together, and I feel it. It's just it's a heavy weight, and it just kind of dampens the brightness of life and makes it really difficult to move. But it's also a sign that I've loved, and that's not a bad thing. So.
All right. So I do want to share the best comment from our YouTube channel that we had last year. And I forget the user's name, and I'm going to get the quote somewhat correct. But it was, we were talking about a fence in one of our videos, and the comment was, if you get offended, you're not good at understanding. And I love that. I adore that quote. So thank you for the comments, and keep them coming. And then one last thing before we go in. We had some good things health-wise. And do you feel comfortable sharing outcomes?
Sure.
Okay. So...
Do you want to share, or do you want me to?
I'll share.
Okay.
So, Sarah's mom passed away of breast cancer that metastasized and she passed away in February, right? It was February?
February 3rd.
February 3rd. So, nothing good happens in February as long as you don't think about our start of our relationship. But anyway, so was it your mom's birthday? Or was it on...
It was on February 3rd. I got the phone call to schedule my biopsies.
Yeah, so they found some masses. But the great news is that they were benign, and that's a huge blessing. And that also happened in February.
Yes, it did.
So, phew. So not always one-sided with February. All right, is there anything else you'd like to share about the past year or since the start of Connect and Conquer?
Not that I can think of.
All right, thank you everyone for the support and the well wishes, and I'll give an update on where the app is right now. All right, so here's the update on the app. Right now it takes a lot of work to set up the game, and I think that's how it's going to be for snapshot capture. It's always going to be trying to get people to organize it and then join it. Once that part is done, it's fairly straightforward on the actual usage. The next mode, which is in testing right now, we got through all the testing for snapshot capture with the new things, so that's good and it's working. Now we just need to have snapshot events work. And for those of you who don't know, this is how we're going to be paying for a lot of the things we are doing. So at any event, you can have the event host, vendors, and attendees, and it will help connect the attendees with the vendors, and they can offer prizes. And the idea is that you incentivize them to come to your booth to take a selfie of your booth. So it's kind of fun, and it pretty much based on our experience when we went to Rexburg. What was it called, Sarah? Experience Rexburg, or was it something else? Okay. Yeah, so at Experience Rexburg, they had, I don't know, 100 different vendors there. I went around and I was asking them what type of connection they were able to get with their the people coming to their booth, and it was all just brand recognition. And I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. Do you ever follow up with your customers? And like, nah. And I asked them if it would be valuable for them to be able to, and some of them were like, not really, which I was like, well, why do you pay for this? But then others were like, oh yeah. And I asked them what they would do for it. And that's where Snapshot events came into play, came out of that, because we did a scavenger hunt, and I think we had like 7 people complete the scavenger
At
hunt.
least. I think there was more like 10.
Okay. It was a prime number, so it was probably 7 or 11. It was probably 11. So not that I'm fascinated with prime numbers. Anyway, so the current state is we are testing Snapshot events. It was supposed to be through the testing phase at the end of January, but I'm not as good of a developer as Sherry is, so she knows the software inside and out. So Sunny and I both agree that we missed Sherry, and the app would not have gotten to where it's at without Sherry and Kyle's support and their dedication and their sacrifice. So tip of the hat to both of them, and that is where the app is. Should I answer? Is there anything I left out in the update?
I think so. What were you gonna say? Should I answer?
Well, I was like, did I answer the questions that normal people have? I have the curse of knowledge, so I know everything about.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, what's the new date that things are projected to be?
Okay. So I had to. So there was a mixed communication there. Actually, if you go into the Figma file, you can see where there was a placeholder that was, or a screen that was deleted for the vendor side, and so Sunny had never he never coded for that because it didn't exist in Figma. It looks like it was deleted because normally it says there is no screen for this view, but in this case it's just blank. So I had to add game ID and vendor ID depending on who was logged in to the main return. And so Sunny just accepted that, said it was correct, and now he's writing the thing so that the vendor can create the prizes and the vendor can create the menus.
Awesome.
So that's that. I expect to have an update on Monday, and we'll start testing again, and I'm sure we'll find some other issues, but that was a fairly major issue that we found during testing. So I would say probably by the end of February
Okay.
we should be done with all the testing.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Maybe February we'll have some more positives.
that's right. The positives of February. Yeah, in fact, I think that might be the title for this
Positives of February.
for this podcast. Okay, so we've given an update generally, our family update. Things are those of our kids who are over the age of 18. Elizabeth got married, Mary got married, Hannah got married, Hyatt is serving a full-time service mission, and then we have our younger 4 that are not 18, and we got a musical theater production that's coming up, I think next week, right?
Yep.
And that's been occupying our 17-year-olds.
Yep.
Wow, she's 17.
Our 19-year-old. He's serving.
That's
he's
true.
helping with the-
Our service missionary is helping the musical theater out. So, but I'm going down the line.
15-year-old.
Yeah, so 17-year-old is heavily involved in that. 15-year-old is trying to figure out, we're trying to adjust some things lifestyle-wise. 10 and 8-year-olds. Anything to update there? I know that they both got an award recently, like Risk Taker or something like that, and then
Yeah.
something else.
Or, whoops. Guys are used to use names.
We avoid it.
The 10-year-old got a risk taker. Or 8-year-old. Still be good. I don't know what award he got, if any.
Oh, maybe I was wrong. I thought the 8-year-old got the award, and backwards. Oh well.
They've been doing good cleaning the kitchen this month, and they can't wait for February to be over.
Yeah? What do you think they're going to switch to?
Something besides the kitchen.
That's fun. All right. Well, thanks again for all the comments. We appreciate them and read them, and appreciate the support. Y'all have a great rest of your week, day, month, depending on when you listen to this podcast if you got this far.
Hasta la vista.
Baby.